A very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, from whichever part of this world, definitely where you're watching us from. My name is Evans Okinya. I'm so glad that you're here with us this wonderful day for these conversations. Of course, I'm always here with Professor Herman Manyora, and this is, of course, another interesting episode of the Candid Talk, where we always have the conversation. Of course, we always bring you comprehensive analysis of everything taking place in this country and across the borders, getting you updated. And of course, our team is ever on the ground. You know very well that Jarel Kabiru is always here, as well as Richard Mwenja. Well, as usual, today, Prof is here with me, ready to help me understand some of these things that are taking place. Prof, how are you?
Wow, good.
Welcome.
Managing the cold, but we are here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Managing the cold, this weather a little bit. It's
chilly.
It's a little bit chilly, but it doesn't favor most of us right now. Somebody would be wondering, it's chilly and cold, but then I'm here. You're
a young man.
Young men must always be here anyway.
Yes,
Must be agile and active, Prof. It's a very sudden state of events. You have seen the reports of the body of the ex-treasury official found along the rivers therein. Definitely, I think we had gone through this, we had passed this stage of witnessing the deaths of high-profile individuals, definitely the so-we-call extrajudicial killings. I wonder whether the case of Ominde would also be related to this, but of course, what do you make of such kind of instances where somebody just disappears and then all of a sudden we are told that this person is no more?
Our condolences to the family.
Definitely.
And secondly, human life is human life. No man should take another man's life. I have never found any reason that you can justify to take somebody's life. So, as people, we must know that to design and execute the demise of another human being it's not a good thing. Whoever does it, for whatever reason, because there can be no reason good enough for you to take somebody's life. There can be. None whatsoever. None. There simply isn't a reason that can be good enough for you to take somebody's life. Whatever the differences between you, whatever the threats they offer you, because let me tell you something else. And this many people don't seem to understand. They think Africans who are primitive, full of superstitions and all these things about death. The truth remains, you cannot kill somebody and you remain normal.
It will haunt you, definitely.
It is true. Look, anytime you plan the death of somebody or you kill somebody in revenge or in rivalry, in a competition, in politics, what have you, you yourself, your life can never be good. You may think you have succeeded because you have gotten rid of your rival. And for a while, you may be foolish enough to succeed. But open your eyes throughout your life and look at your family. You will have no family. Human blood is so harsh. And I've told people to look at elephants. If you find a rogue elephant, what we call rogue, alone, chances are it has been chased. It can't stay with the rest. And normally it's because it has killed like a human being. That's why if an elephant is forced to kill you, it trumps on you and it cries as it does so. Because it means, it knows it is going to be lonely throughout its life. Nobody will want them. So when you saw Africans in books such as Chege's Things Fall Apart, when somebody is being banished, even in African societies, you find a clan in your place, which is a strange clan. Then you are told, these people came here having committed atrocities in their home. So they came here. They were banished, and that's how they are here. Okay. Human life is not anything you want to play. So those who took Usinde's life, for whatever reason, I just want to believe that the only thing that can come close to me seeing is just children, boys, the ones we saw, thinking they can drive V8, get some little money, go and chase girls. But I hope it cannot be a serious person who plans somebody's death. No, that's not.
Definitely, we do not want to get into that era where people just go mysteriously missing and then all of a sudden they are founded. This is not a country that would perhaps condone such. Prof, let's get deep into political actions and they take place in the country. Recently, we saw the president allow 4 members to be part of the cabinet meetings. We've now seen David Ndi, of course, he is the official economic advisor to the president, David Malala, the Secretary General of UDA, and of course, Monica Juma as well therein, plus the third member, another 4th member therein who actually advises the president on women's rights. Prof, according to the Constitution, definitely Article 152 prescribes so well who should be members of the cabinet. Do you perhaps think that the president is in contravention of the Constitution by allowing the likes of Malala to get into cabinet meetings?
It's unconstitutional. The president is violating the Constitution openly, in daylight. Because the Constitution sets clearly who is a member of the cabinet.
Yes.
It gives the number from 14 to 22. And then those other ex-official attorney general, it states where somebody must be there and they are not ministers like the attorney general. It is stated. You can't bring a stranger.
Okay.
But beyond that, the current minister in charge of water, CS Ohome, went to court to challenge Uhuru's inclusion of General Badi.
Yes.
And the courts ruled very clear it was unconstitutional.
A ruling by Justice.
The guy was, Badi was a stranger in cabinet. And nobody challenged the ruling, and that remains the position of the law. So even with that, and the president is violating the law, and the president says he's going to defend the law. It is, let me tell you, I have said this many times, and I must be allowed to repeat today and maybe another time, and maybe another. That we enjoy whatever little we enjoy, or whatever much we enjoy, just because of the social calm, some sort of equilibrium. That those who are rich are enjoying their riches, staying in the rich neighborhoods, enjoying the good things of life, driving the good cars and going on holiday and getting good medical cover locally and abroad. And those who can barely manage are barely managing. Those who are scratching through life like in Kibra, Kawangwad are doing so. Yet society is stable. Now, let's not take that for granted. That happens because each one of us somehow accepts their station. Somehow. This is who we are. Maybe tomorrow my son will stay in Iburuburu as opposed to Kibera. That hope. What is the glue that holds us together despite even the suffering of the majority? It is existence of law and order. The respect and even fear for law. The fear that if I break the law, there are consequences. That respect and almost fear for the law is what maintains the social equilibrium, the social stability, the sort of cohesion of society that makes people stay in their station, enjoy what they are enjoying, or suffer without causing social strife. You know what I'm trying to say? And therefore, anybody who wants to tear away at law, anybody who wants to create the impression that law is not important, the Constitution does not matter, is playing with fire. Those in power must never pass the message to the poor, the downtrodden, the suffering, that it's okay to break the law because we are big people.
Do you then think that perhaps the president, if anything is to go by, is perhaps taking the oath of office for granted? Because we saw that on a broad daylight, Kasaran, during the swearing-in ceremony, those who swore to protect the Constitution end up by it. But right now they're doing
this inclusion in cabinet with a clear cabinet ruling. The paying out of CDF to members of parliament, National Assembly, and 1 or 2 other violations are enough to impeach the president. Are enough grounds for impeachment of the president. It is what I call impunity. You know what impunity is? Why every leader must be careful of impunity? Quite often the bad things you are doing that irritate people actually benefit you very little. So what does the president gain by Ndi being in the cabinet? Or Hagai, whatever she's called. Chigai, whatever she's called.
Harriet Chigai.
Yeah.
The advisor.
Or this young man from Kakamega, what do you call him?
Cleophas Malala.
So what does the president gain? That's impunity. Impunity is a very bad thing. The things you are doing that are irritating people, that can even move you from State House, are things that from which you are gaining nothing. What does the president gain by having those 4 people in cabinet?
So what could be the motive behind
No, it's impunity. That's what I'm telling you. Impunity is a bad disease.
Could it be perhaps now that he
No, I'm telling you, impunity is a bad disease. Very often, the people say more often than not, the actions that are sanctioned by impunity, the things you do from impunity, are things that you don't even need to do. They add no value to you or to anybody for that matter. Just take the cabinet. You bring these 4 people, you are violating the constitution. But what are you benefiting?
Well, definitely, Prof, when President William Ruto came into power, there was that kind of thought that his would be a complete departure from the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, definitely therein. But then something happened. And you know very well that the same things happened during the era of President Uhuru Kenyatta. We had the inclusion of Raphael Tuju, the then Secretary General of Jubilee Party, into the cabinet as well. But then his was as a position of cabinet secretary without portfolio. The position of Cleophas Malala right now is a little bit vague. But then what do you think could perhaps inform the inclusion of the Secretary Generals or other leaders of political parties into the cabinet?
I've told you it's impunity.
Right now.
Impunity is utadu. Impunity makes you feel like the world is in your pocket or under your feet. Actually, the world is in your pocket. Yeah, that's what impunity does to people.
So this is the same cabinet. Definitely, we are looking at a cabinet where there are several legal minds therein. You've just talked of Alice Wahome here.
She's the one who went to court.
She's the one who went to court.
But she's sitting there pretty.
She's sitting there.
And people are there across the table.
Kipchumba more comment.
Yeah, these are people who...
These are
impunity.
There is Kipure Kindiki professor.
There is impunity and there's something else.
And then we also have our Attorney General, Justin Muturi, who is also part of that.
But the Attorney General who says, let us pay CDF. Impunity. Secondly, when you live in a country where sycophants is the order of the day, that country is in a mess. There are no men standing in this country. Every man crumbles in the face of power. Every man loses his manhood for crumbs and little droppings of bread from the powers that be. People shake. And I've lived in this country for a while. And I've interacted with leadership for many years. I can tell you, and this is very embarrassing to the people who do these things. Sometimes people go to the president, and when they live there, they just have 200,000 shillings. And they have embarrassed themselves. They have crawled on their tummy and on their belly, reduced themselves into laughable beings. Even on TV in your house, your wife or your children or your husband switch off the TV. When you are really bending backwards before the president, they switch off the TV. They can't stand the embarrassment. They may not tell you because you bring food on the table, but there's nothing. And let me give you a very good example. After the first multi-party election, after the struggle for the second liberation, we held our first multi-party election in 1992. Kanu won the election, but didn't have majority in parliament. Moi went on a shopping spree for MPs in the famous defections. Momanyi from Kisii or Pondo from Luonya, those are the first. From Western, as usual, Luyas, they're always up for sale. There was Javan Omami, there was Kanini MP, there was Shamala of all people. He was a very respected lawyer. And so on and so forth. And so on and so forth. Let me tell you, what were they given? Because these guys, all of them died poor. So we live in a country where people tremble and shake before power. And some little money is thrown their way. For a majority of them, it's not even money that can do anything for them. Of course, there are a few criminals there around who can engage in deals and wheeler dealers, they engage in things and make billions. But for the majority of these people who bend over and crawl on their bellies, they get nothing. 300,000, $500,000, it's rubbish. And you surrender your manhood. So, I would, like you are saying, why wouldn't Alice Wahome tell the president,
I wonder.
Your Excellency, I went to court and this is the ruling of the court. It was not challenged by anybody. The AG supports her. Say, hey, it is true, we are going astray. They can't say because of the warmth they get from those positions.
And I even saw Ahmed Nasir actually come forth and...
Yeah, he said, where is the AG, where is Alice Wahome? And actually attached the judgment. That's the country you have. And I'm telling you, and that's why I've been warning people like Moses Wetangula. I'm telling them you are too selfish, you people. Why are they too selfish? They don't love their children. They don't love their grandchildren. So they are too selfish. They want power for the moment. That is just how selfish our leaders are. You are too selfish even to your own offsprings. Because if you love your children, and the children they will get or they have, your grandchildren, you must do everything possible to ensure you leave a country for them that is functional. You don't break the systems. Then leave your children and your grandchildren in a country that is broken. You don't love them. You are too selfish. You are too selfish. Anybody who loves their children and grandchildren, born and unborn, should never do anything to spoil law and order, to create anarchy in the country. Because every time you mess the law, you are pushing the country in the direction of anarchy. Who tells you are the only one who can break law? Who tells you? Who tells you? Others can also break the law. Yeah, they can also break the law. They can ignore the law. History is full of those examples. Even the people in jail, they are not in jail because of those walls and because of the jailers, the askaris. No, they are there because we are a country of law and order. We respect the law. We fear the law. We respect authority. You think those walls can keep people in prison? Is that what you think yourself? No. Do you think those walls and those askaris can keep thousands of people in prison?
Of course they can't.
They can't. No. If people decide to leave those prisons, they will leave. But where they are going, even society will not welcome them. Because society believes in law and order. You get it? Society believes in respect for the law. It believes in stability. So even if you are to live there, and that's why when people escape from jail, it's people who hand them back to authority.
Definitely.
Because the people respect law. But if you show the same people that law means nothing, then the consequences should be coming your way.
Definitely. We're looking at a situation where, even, by the way, even the State House Chief of Staff, Felix Koskei, is attending the cabinet meetings as well. Yeah. I wonder, with these kind of strangers in the cabinet, definitely I wonder the legal position of all these decisions.
Please stop there, please stop there. And I hope these people tell the president. With technology, they can even be following from another room.
So they do not have to be present.
They don't even need to be there. You are going on with your cabinet, they are in their own room, following, making notes. They can even communicate with you.
Okay.
They can even tell the president through technology that the direction this discussion is going is bordering on unconstitutionality, is violating an already existing policy. They can tell you. Technology. So, I mean, so that's why I'm saying it's impunity. Because Because it serves no purpose.
The oath of secrecy.
Even if assuming for a moment that there's actually some value Felix Koske will bring to cabinet. Let us assume. I don't see it. Let us assume there's value. There is something. Why can't he listen from some room, the proceedings, and occasionally president anaangalia kwa iPad yake pale. There is a color ya green ikikuja unajua ni Felix Koske is giving some direction. Or even a timeout. You can tell cabinet, let's take break, come back after 30 minutes, then you go and consult those people. If so, what will Malala add to the cabinet? I'm not saying he's a bad person or anything.
Anyway, I get
or Chege or Ondi. What is it they can add?
I get that, but of course the oath of secrecy has been.
Yeah, things of that nature. Yeah.
I wonder how relevant that is if you're talking of the president already contravening the constitution, the hearing. But then questions also abound of what is now the legal basis of some of these decisions that the cabinet is actually making with strangers therein. Will these decisions now be legally binding?
You see, if you had a functional legal system, and I'm not saying we don't have one, then this is just a case that goes to court in the morning and the decision is arrived in the morning, in the afternoon, that any decision made with this kind of cabinet is null and void, ab initio, from the word go.
Okay.
And they would advise. They don't even need to do this thing for a month like the way our courts take things for 1 year, 2 years. This is something because there's already a judgment that was not challenged. So the question will just be, what will be the legal status of decisions made by cabinet?
Definitely.
And that one, the advisor from the Supreme Court can come in a matter of 2 hours.
Okay.
I'm saying if you have a really functional legal system that knows that the judiciary has a role to play in ensuring stability in the country, where people have respect to the arbitration agencies, that when they are aggrieved, when they are not happy with certain things, they can trust an arbitration process. That is also critical for stability of a country. Because there are countries where people don't believe in those things. Okay. And the consequences are there for all of us to see.
Well put, Prof. So you believe, as we conclude, you believe that all these actions by the president are already enough to warrant his impeachment?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Constitution states clearly the president may be impeached for violation of the Constitution.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the ground looking at how things are taking place in the country. And of course, we'll bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of the same, be it political, be it economics and all that. We have all of it covered here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel, and of course Nairobi Review as well. Remember, Jadil Kabiru will be here with these political conversations with Prof here, as well as Richard Mwenja. Stay tuned for some of our programs that will be coming up next. Still, we have this conversation. Again, have yourself a lovely day. And of course, before that, let me just thank all my producers and all those who've been behind the scenes to ensure that these productions come to you in this kind of manner. Ladies and gentlemen, till we have the conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.